Hi everyone, it's Claire back again. Wow, before I start, let me just tell you what's on my nails. This is Unicorn Sparkles. It is a very pretty full coverage glitter and it's from Princess Nail Lacquer. It's a UK indie brand who unfortunately is no longer making polishes, but this is just a really beautiful and really smooth. It's just 2 coats. And it's got like gold, silver glitter with those fantastic circle glitters. So that's Unicorn Sparkles from Princess Nail Lacquer. But today we're going to have a look at Pacific Blue. I did do one of these videos a few years ago, but this is an updated version with some new polishes that have recently joined my collection. Particularly this one here. This was sent to me recently by Jennifer up in Scotland very recently, and it's Sally Hansen Complete Salon Manicure new suede shoes. Now I have heard about this being a dupe for Pacific Blue before. It looks very similar actually. It looks a little bit more muted in the bottle. Just very slightly different, but sometimes it can look slightly different in the bottle and then pretty much exactly the same on the swatch wheel. I've got some swatch sticks today. I'm going to include some swatch pictures where I've got them, and we'll see if we can find any exact dupes for Pacific Blue. Okay, so I'm actually going to put Pacific Blue on a swatch stick on its own so I can do a side-by-side comparison. If you're new to the nail polish game, see, look, to me, you can get this opaque in one coat, and I have got a photograph of this opaque in one coat. But yeah, if you're new to the nail polish game, this is a bit of a unicorn polish. It's unusual because it was really popular a few years ago. It used to be available quite frequently in drugstore. It was Sally Hansen, very affordable. Just a couple of dollars. We don't usually tend to get that bottle shape here in the UK, but then they stopped making it a few years ago, and everybody kind of lost their minds because it's this particular type of blue. It's a sort of white undertone that just really jumps off the nail. It's so noticeable against any skin tone, including my ridiculous pinky red skin tone, but yeah, it just looks absolutely amazing, and a lot of people were left searching for this polish and backups of this polish. Every now and again you can find it in a store that perhaps has, you know, at the back of a shelf where they've not sold nail polish for a while. You might be able to find a bottle. I know in the UK there were some original Pacific Blue in Poundland a few years ago. I think a couple of people picked up a bottle of the original from Poundland or Pound World, one of the two. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get one. This was sent to me by Jules, as you all know. I've said this a million times. Thank you very much, Jules. I've actually worn this a few times, and it's probably down to the label here. Certainly every year since I've had this, I've worn it about at least three times. So the swatch pictures that I've got, the first one is just one coat, the second is 2 coats in the sunshine so you can see how bright it is, and the third one is what it looks like matte. So that is the original. I'm going to put 2 coats on the swatch stick, and then I'm going to put a top coat on. Okay, so that is the original that we're going to be comparing everything else to today. So as you probably know, my idea of a UK version of a dupe for Pacific Blue is Barry M Damson. If anything, it is slightly brighter, I think, than Pacific Blue. This formula, I was looking at this the other day, it's actually going really quite thick, so it needs to be thinned. But this definitely is opaque in one coat. yeah, I think this is another polish that's difficult to find. I'm sure you'll still be able to find it. It was just absolutely wrecked my mat. Okay, so that is Barry M Damson, and that is Pacific Blue. They do look very, very similar. Maybe this one is a tad more muted. But that is Barry M Damson. I've got a photograph of this from probably about 5-6 years ago, and you can still find this in it. They don't make it anymore. You can still find this hanging around in certain shops, so have a look out for it. It's a very, very close comparison for Pacific Blue. So that's Barry M Damson. And another polish here that a lot of people have mentioned as being a very close comparison for Pacific Blue, although it's got a touch more, just a little bit of purple in this, I think, one drop of purple. And this is G Cabana Boy. And I believe this is also a one coat formula. This was sent over to me by Debbie, Sister Chic, and no, it's not a one coat. It would definitely require 2 coats, and I think I've got something trapped in there. So you can see it's a little bit more purple than Damson. Let's put another coat on there. It's definitely a little bit more purple, I would say, in that. So that's G Cabana Boy, Barry M Damson, and that's the original Pacific Blue here. I've put the flash on there. I think that shows you, oh, the light keeps going in and out. That shows you how close all 3 of those are. That's Pacific Blue with Cabana Boy and Damson. Very close, all 3 of them. And this one here is another dupe. This is Lapis Lazuli. I'm actually going to keep the flash on because I think you can see the colour a bit better. This is very similar to Pacific Blue, and this is Catherine's favourite, one of Catherine's favourite blues, and she sent this over to me from Zurich. A fantastic formula, actually. Probably the best formula of the 3 so far. That's probably because it is a newer polish. Okay, so I've put a top coat on Pacific Blue because these swatch sticks again are eating the polish. But that's Lapis Lazuli here, and next to Pacific Blue. This looks like a one coater, and definitely the best formula of the 3 so far. When you put them down like that, Cabana Boy, definitely you can see that purple in there. So that's 3 older comparisons, and this is a polish that I picked up recently from Prism Polish. This is a UK indie brand, and you can definitely see the white pigment in here. This is it's a beautiful bright polish, but it did remind me. It looks a little bit like Pacific Blue in the bottle, and it definitely reminded me of Pacific Blue on the nail. This is more of a crelly formula, so it needs to be built up. Yeah, in the bottle it's very similar. If anything, it's slightly brighter than Pacific Blue. So that is 2 coats of the Prism polish. Did I even tell you what it's called? It's Maylandia. And it is very similar, maybe a little bit darker, just a little bit, but it's still a beautifully bright polish. Yeah, it's not an exact dupe, but it's very similar. Before we get on to the final one, which is the Sally Hansen new suede shoes, I wanted to see what this one was like as a comparison. I know it's stuffed with those beautiful pink iridescent flakies. This is Acteya from Polish for Days, and the base really did remind me of Pacific Blue. This is definitely going to need to be built up. I think it's okay on the nail in 2 coats. In the swatch pictures, you'll see this in 3 coats. It is a beautiful, beautiful flaky polish. But to me, it reminded me of Pacific Blue, so I wanted to include it in this video. Okay, that's 3 coats, and I've just put a very thick 3rd coat on there. Just look at that, it is beautiful. It's like Pacific Blue on steroids. That is Pacific Blue there. It's even brighter again, I think, similar to Maylandia. But they're all very similar. I absolutely love this polish. I suppose you could put it 1 coat over the top of Pacific Blue if you were so inclined. The light is driving me crazy. But yeah, that's those 3 there. So finally, the only one I don't have swatch pictures for is new suede shoes, because I just arrived a couple of days ago. So Jen, here we go. We're going to see if there is any comparison on the swatch wheel, on the swatch stick, for Sally Hansen new suede shoes versus Sally Hansen original Pacific Blue. So it looks paler there on that first coat. It definitely requires a 2nd coat. So it does look a little bit paler there. Let's see what that looks like with a 2nd coat. There we go, that is a very thick 2nd coat. Now to me it looks slightly more muted, just a little bit sort of paler and more muted than the very vibrant Pacific Blue. They're both still very bright, and if you just glanced at them very quickly they would look like exactly the same polish. But you can see, I think from that angle there, this one is just a little bit more muted. So there you go, Jen. Very, very similar, but not exact dupes. So let's have a final look. I still think that the closest is Barry M Damson. That's Cabana Boy by Julie G. And Lapis Lazuli here, again very similar. I didn't put a top coat on that one, but that's Maylandia from Prison Polish, the beautiful Acteya from Prison Polish, and Sally Hansen new suede shoes. So they're all very similar. You can pick up a Pacific Blue that's got that white undertone with a tiny drop of purple that just lifts it into a beautiful, bright, noticeable summery blue on the nail and on any skin tone. So there we go, all very similar polishes, beautiful bright blue, and there is Pacific Blue in the middle. So let me know if you're lucky enough to have picked this polish up. Some of you might be really clever and have dashed out and got backups for this polish. Let me know if you've got any of the dupes, or if you can suggest any that are even closer. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next video. Bye.